posted by you/thrower_vacay. So, my parents wanted to go on a cruise for the holidays. They invited me, 25F, my boyfriend, 27M, my brother, 28M, and his girlfriend, 26F. My brother, let's call him James, has always been the golden child. Some backstory: back in high school, when James was caught selling pills, he was just going through a phase. Meanwhile, when I got caught smoking weed, my parents threatened to kick me out. James lost his scholarship and dropped out of college 3 different times, but he's still perfect. I graduated a semester late, and I didn't try hard enough. James still lives in the state where he attended college, and I live in my home state near my parents. He doesn't work, he's not currently in school. My parents buy him flights all the time to come visit, but they don't buy me a flight to see him or go anywhere else. My parents send him money for rent and necessities. He even bought a $2,000 dog recently with that money. When I got my first big job at age 22, my parents immediately kicked me off their insurance since I had the option of benefits. James was on their insurance until he turned 26. Last year, I got laid off and moved back in with my parents to save money. When I got my new job, my parents told me I needed to pay $10,000 in back rent, which was never discussed previously. I did finish paying it off and recently moved in with my boyfriend. This has been a pattern my whole life. James gets everything handed to him, and I have to work my tail off. So, now to the cruise. My parents said they wanted to do this and bought tickets for themselves, James, and his girlfriend. They told me to get my own ticket since I have a well-paying job. I was super upset and told them it wasn't fair that I was the only one who had to buy their own ticket. My boyfriend couldn't come due to holiday plans with his own family. My parents said I was acting spoiled and that green wasn't a good look on me. I'm so tired of hearing that phrase at this point. They said it's not like I had to get a nice room since we'd be outside of it most of the time anyway, which is true, but then why get James a nice room? I decided I had enough and wasn't going. But here's where I may be the jerk. I let them continue thinking I was going for months. Then, on the night before they left, they told me to get to their house by 8 a.m. so we could start the drive to the port. At 8:30 that day, they started messaging me, asking where I was. I texted them, "Since you didn't want to put the effort in to have me join you, I will be attending my boyfriend's Thanksgiving instead. Have a nice trip with your favorite child." Then I muted the chat. I talked to some friends about this, and some said it was petty of me to cancel with no warning, while others said I should have sucked it up and gone since I probably would have had fun once I got there. They'd been on the cruise for a couple of days now, and I'm starting to regret how I handled things. Yeah, I probably would have had fun, and it's not like I couldn't afford the ticket. I also could have handled the delivery better. But at the same time, I'm so sick of them treating me like this. Was I wrong for canceling on our family vacation? Update 5 days later. First off, hi everyone. Sorry for posting and then dropping off the face of the earth, haha. I wrote the original post at work during my break, and then as soon as the day ended, my boyfriend and I headed up to the cabins his family rented for the holidays. I wanted to be fully present with them, so I didn't actually have a chance to check this until today, and I can't believe how many people chimed in. I appreciate everyone who took the time to share their thoughts, even though I wasn't able to get through all of them. I tried reading some comments but got overwhelmed by the sheer amount and gave up after scrolling for 20 minutes. So, instead of responding to people individually, I will try to address some common things I saw in the comments. Skip ahead like 10 paragraphs if you want to get straight to the update. I am prone to yapping a good bit. Obviously, I'll start with the $10,000 in back rent. To me, the number itself wasn't the issue. I mean, yeah, it is definitely a bit higher than I would have liked, but not completely unreasonable. For the amount of time I lived there, it's not like I would have been able to rent my own place at a cheaper price, and if I hadn't moved in with them, I would have completely depleted my savings and probably gone into debt. While I was laid off and looking for a new job in my field, I had a serving job and did some freelance writing work as well, so I was contributing to groceries but not paying rent or utilities. Because of that, I understood why my parents wanted help once I was in a position to do so. I just wish they had defined that expectation from the beginning instead of springing it on me as a surprise. I paid it because I know it was an inconvenience for my parents to have me stay so long, especially during some home renovations, and it didn't feel worth the pushback if I refused. I know it would have turned into a whole big issue, and it just felt easier to pay the money. Yes, I probably have some pushover tendencies that I need to address. Luckily, I'm in a well-paying field. I'm a technical writer, so once I got my new position, I was able to pay my parents back in about 6 months while also saving up to move out. The timeline, for anyone curious, is, I was laid off in January of last year. I used my savings to pay rent until my lease was up in June, and then I moved in with my parents. I lived with my parents from June of last year till September of this year, when I moved in with my boyfriend. I got my current job in May, which is when my parents told me they wanted back rent and rent moving forward until I moved out. They said it was to help motivate me to get back on my feet. So not all of it was back rent technically, but I just used that term to try and be more concise. By the time I moved out, the total amount I owed had added up to $10,000, and I had already paid off most of it. I also saw a couple of comments about pursuing legal action against my parents, but I don't think that's worth it or even possible. We never had a written contract, and I didn't argue against paying it. I didn't want them to be able to hold that over me. Going through any legal issue would just dredge the whole thing up again, and I'd rather not do that. It's paid now, so at least it's over with. In the future, I know I should probably be less willing to give in to their demands. It's just difficult when things have been this way my whole life, and my experiences have shown me that any refusal paints me as ungrateful in their eyes. I try so hard to be perfect because I just want them to treat me with the same care and support as they do with James. The worst part is, James and I were super close growing up. When we were kids, we hung out all the time. He was the one who taught me how to ride a bike. He stood up for me when I was getting bullied. I don't think he's a bad person at all, he just never learned to stand on his own 2 feet. Our relationship is strained now because he doesn't get why I have issues with our parents. I miss the brother I would stay up playing RuneScape with. I'm pretty sure he fully buys into the idea that he needs extra help since he's always gotten it. He doesn't know how to do or expect anything else. At least he's still nice to me, but he just refuses to see the differences in how we're treated, and he basically wants me to just suck it up and be part of the family. Sadly, all his support just disappeared once it came to issues with our parents. I hope James gets some distance from them one day and we can reconnect. I don't want our relationship to keep suffering because of this. Sorry to get sappy for a second. But back to the comments, another thing I saw some people ask is why I didn't tell them sooner that I was canceling. I know that was a petty move on my part, but had I told them earlier, they would have spent those months trying to convince me to go and insulting me if I continued to refuse. It seemed like such a hassle, and the way I did it was much easier. And yeah, maybe this is crappy of me, but I did get some satisfaction out of it. It felt good to treat them at the same level they treat me. Besides, it's not like it actually affected their trip, they still went, just without me. Many of the comments brought up the idea of going low contact or no contact with my family, and it is something I've now been considering. My boyfriend is supportive of this decision since he has seen firsthand how my parents are. I'm sure my friends will be supportive as well if I explain the full story. Most of them have never met my parents, and I've tried not to get into the whole family dynamic with my friends since it's depressing for me to talk about. I also didn't want to come off as just whining all the time. Prior to this, they've only heard some small complaints here and there. With all that out of the way, here's what has happened since my last post. My boyfriend and I got to the cabin late Wednesday night. I gave his mother a bouquet of her favorite flowers, and she loved them. We had a quick glass of wine while talking with his family before heading to bed. I was still a bit uncertain about my decision, so I probably wasn't as peppy as usual, but they didn't seem to mind. That night, I made a promise to myself that I would put my own family issues aside during the trip and just focus on having a good time with my boyfriend's family, who have always been so gracious to me. On Thursday, we woke up early and helped his mom with some food preparation and setting the table. Afterward, we played some cornhole with his cousins and sadly lost due to my complete lack of athletic ability. The Thanksgiving meal itself was delicious, and his mom is such a good cook. Everyone was very sweet to me and made me feel so welcome as part of the family, which helped me feel much better about my decision to spend the holidays with them. Towards the end of the night, his mom even said to me that she knows it is ultimately up to my boyfriend, but she hopes I can join the family for real someday. I told her I would be honored if that happens, and we hugged. I really do hope it will. I love my boyfriend so much, and I want to spend the rest of my life with him. His family is also an incredible bonus. I had such a wonderful time on Thanksgiving and enjoyed the rest of the weekend as well. We went on some great hikes, hung around by the bonfire, played board games, and watched movies. My boyfriend also spent some time looking after his little nephew, and watching them play with Legos together definitely gave me some slight baby fever, though that is not something I want to act on for at least a couple of years. We got back yesterday afternoon, and I am already missing everything. It was genuinely a blast, and there was no family drama, which made my family seem like even more of a mess. I feel like I'm rambling a bit now, honestly, I probably have been the whole time, but I'm just so excited to share what a good time I had during the holiday and that I definitely made the right decision. Unfortunately, this update isn't entirely positive. I wish it could be. My parents reached out last night, and they still weren't happy about my choice. I guess the sea air and unlimited drinks didn't do enough to relax them. My dad sent a passive-aggressive text with cruise pictures and a message that said, "Sad that you chose not to be with your family in such beautiful places." I sent back a picture from my trip with my boyfriend's family and said, "Looks like you guys had a good time. So did we." Then my mom called and said she hoped I regretted missing out on a great family vacation and spoiling their memory due to a petty grudge against my brother. I told her my issue wasn't with James but rather with their unfair preferential treatment between the two of us. My mom said that I was the one being unfair by comparing our situations since James needs help while he figures out his direction in life and I've always been much more independent. I told her the only reason that's true is because they never truly allowed me to depend on them. She said she wasn't going to apologize for raising a self-sufficient daughter and that I should grow up and be grateful for everything they've done or leave them alone for good and break their hearts all at once instead of doing it piece by piece. She called me cruel for dangling the hope of a wonderful holiday only to snatch it away at the last second, even though they seem to be just fine without me there based on the photos my dad sent and what they posted on social media. I was really upset by this point and pointed out multiple examples of how they prioritize James, just hoping I could finally make her understand how growing up like this has affected me. My mom said I had a lot of nerve to put their parenting under a microscope when I have no children myself and have never had to make tough decisions. I had enough of the conversation and said, "I guess I'll just leave you guys alone like you want since I'll never be enough for this family anyway." I hung up and started crying, but my boyfriend was really supportive as always, and we spent the rest of the night eating ice cream and watching The Hunger Games to cheer me up. I absolutely love the series and am so excited for Haymitch's movie to come out. It was weird to go back to work today after everything and act like nothing was the matter, but I think it was also a good distraction. Since I chose my boyfriend's holiday plans instead of my family's, I actually came back feeling mostly refreshed, besides the events of last night, instead of drained like I most likely would have been after the cruise. I haven't heard anything more from my parents yet, but I have a feeling they're just bluffing. I'm sure once they need something, they'll reach out, or they'll probably try and smooth things over by Christmas so they don't have to explain the situation to our extended family. I haven't decided yet if I'll be open to reconciling. On one hand, I know I deserve better than to be treated as a burden and an afterthought while doing so much for them. I'm tired of trying to live up to their expectations, and I'm not optimistic about their behavior ever changing. But on the other hand, they are my family, and it's just so difficult to fully walk away. I just want to feel the love and acceptance from my own family that I get from my boyfriend's family. Why is it so hard for them to treat me like I matter? I'm also worried that if I don't make nice with them, they'll twist the story to make me seem like the problem, and my extended family will be mad at me too. There are people I like within my family, but my parents have a lot of influence over everyone's opinions. I don't know if it's worth putting up with them to at least keep some ties to my family, or if it would be better to accept the loss and move on from a dynamic where I am clearly not appreciated. I want to keep my brother at least, but maybe I'm just holding on to the past, and that version of James doesn't exist anymore. I hope that's not true. I just don't know how to get through to him since he is so brainwashed by my parents and thinks they can do no wrong. I'm not sure if I'll ever truly get my brother back. I've got some big things to think about now, and I don't know if I'm ready to make such a major change to my life. I do believe I'd feel much freer and lighter if I at least distanced myself from them, and maybe even cut contact entirely. I guess I'll just have to see what happens. I'm sure I already know the answer to this, but is it stupid to still hold out hope that things can work out? Second update 23 days later. I'm going to try to keep this one brief since my last update was so long. I took the advice of some commenters and reached out to my favorite aunt, my dad's sister. I told her that, unfortunately, I would not be at Christmas this year and that I'm taking a break from the family for my own mental health. However, I hope that she and her children would enjoy their time and have a great holiday. She said she understood and was proud of me. That made me feel better and helped me feel brave enough to finally cut the cord. On Wednesday night, my mom texted me for the first time since our phone call, saying, "If you're done trying to break apart the family, we expect you to be here by 9:30 on Christmas." I told her the only ones responsible for breaking apart the family are her and my dad, and they should not expect me at Christmas or any future events. I said that I have finally learned to go where I am wanted, and that is simply not with them. I could tell she was ramping up to one of her rants, insulting and belittling me, so I then blocked her and my dad. I haven't blocked James yet, though, as that will depend on his response when he reaches out. I already feel so empowered, like a weight has been lifted off me. And on a much happier note, my boyfriend and I are leaving to go on a ski trip for the holidays as soon as we finish work today. I truly appreciate everyone who took the time to read my posts and offer advice. It was due to the kindness of all you internet strangers that I finally had the strength to cut them out of my life. Thank you so much, and happy holidays, everyone. Quick PS, I included that side note in my last update about the Hunger Games as I was hoping to talk about the franchise with people. At my core, I'm still the Tumblr fandom blogger I was as a child, haha. Sadly, no one took the bait, as there were more important parts of my post to address. That being said, if anyone wants to talk Hunger Games with me, you know where to find me.